Good afternoon. I want to thank everyone for dialing in to our webinar on how to prepare for the 2016 fiscal year data collection for our annual Report on Giving publication. The intent of today's call is to walk you through the existing platform that we will be using to collect the data. Our plan is to launch and invite you to participate in our survey on April 10, approximately a week from now. Our goal is that every organization that is a member of AHP participate in this data collection process. It benefits the industry by putting out industry standards as it relates to key performance metrics such as return on investment, cost to raise a dollar, and net fundraising returns. Before we get started on the walkthrough, there are a couple of things I'd like to give you a heads up on. In order for you to participate in the data collection, there are some resources that you should gather, and you will have a toolkit at your disposal, and it will be sent with the invitation to participate at launch. But some of the documents that you'll need is your IRS Form 990, your last fiscal year audited financial statement, your past fiscal year total funds raised, consolidated statements of operations and changes in net assets, things of that nature. All of the questions in our survey will have help tools within the platform itself in terms of definitions for key reporting metrics. And new this year will be some streamlined baseline metrics so that we are not asking everyone to contribute everything. If you can opt in to participate at a lower level, or you can participate at a deeper level. That will give you access to more information when you're finished. The timeline for our survey is launch on April 10. Some of the improvements that you will see are streamlined baseline metrics, one single platform. In the past, we've done this initiative with 2 different platforms. And then we're happy to announce. I'm getting some feedback from someone's phone.
I can hear. What I was going to do is mute everyone when I started my presentation, and then just have them send in questions on the chat. So I can do that now if you'd like.
That'd be great. Thank you. Yes.
Okay. Hold on just a second. Hi, Denise.
Yes.
I think that does it.
Okay, thank you. So an improvement in this platform this year is you will be able to see near immediate results at your organization level for key performance metrics. In the past, we have asked Report on Giving participants to contribute the data, and then we gave the participants a free industry report, but you were not able to view your own individual metrics. That will be an additional benefit to reporting this year, and you should be able to see them relatively quickly after your data has been verified. So the earlier you participate, the sooner you will get those metrics. The timeline for the data collection, survey launch will be April 10. The helpline will be launching at the same time with ARI, who is on the call today. We will be scheduling webinars throughout the process in May, June, and July, and then the data collection will end on August the 4th. You will be invited to participate in reporting downloads beginning September 14. We will be offering webinars on how to maximize the use of the reporting options on September 14, November, and December. And then we expect to publish our Report on Giving in October and announce our high performers at our international conference. At this time, does anyone have any questions on that timeline before we walk you through the platform? Yes, the end date is going to be August 4th. That is when the data collection ends, August the 4th. Any other questions?
I've unmuted everyone, so if you'd like to talk, you can.
Are there any other questions at this time? I'll run through the dates one more time before we turn it over to Mike. Again, our plan is to launch the survey on April 10. That is 2 Mondays from now. You'll have all the resources you will need in terms of definitions and materials you'll need to participate in the survey, and a walkthrough toolkit so that you can see what you need to complete the survey as you go through the process. You'll also have a helpline and some volunteers available to you if you have questions about very specific issues as it relates to financial reporting, not necessarily how the survey works, but we do have some volunteers who are involved with our benchmarking task force who would help with maybe some more specific questions about endowments and things of that nature as you go through the process. We will offer webinars in May, June, and July. The data collection will conclude on August the 4th. You'll be able to generate more in-depth reports in September, and then the report on giving publication will be available in October. It is our plan that once you have submitted your data, you will be able to see your own metrics within 24 hours or real time, provided that your data has been verified. So you won't have to wait until the report options are available for you to see that information. And with that, I'd like to turn it over to Mike Egert, who is with Association Research. They are the organization that publishes our annual report on giving, and they will be providing validation assistance through this process. We also have with us on the call today some representatives from our benchmarking task force to listen in, and also, I believe, Peer Focus, who is our technologist, the organization that's actually built the platform, is also on the call. Thank you all for taking the time, and we look forward to a great data collection process this year. Mike, take it away.
Great. Thank you, Denise. I appreciate it. As I mentioned before, what I'm going to do in order to minimize feedback, I'm going to mute everyone right now except for me. But the chat option that you see on your screen, as I'm going through my presentation, if you think of a question, please feel free to type in a question, and we will have a question and answer at the end. So if it's something that's a little more specific, or you need, you don't feel like typing something in, you can just hold on to the question, and then I'll unmute everyone at the end of the presentation, and we'll just go ahead and start answering questions. So let's just go ahead and get started. What you would receive, as Denise mentioned on the 10th, is an invitation to participate in the survey. So you will get a link, and then you would click into the link, and then go ahead and just get into the survey itself. What I'm on is the landing page that you would see. So if after you've created a password, you would save that password. If for some reason you need to change your password or edit any of the personal information, you can just click on this link that I just opened up. You can see where you can change whatever you need to. And we'll just go ahead and go back to the home page. So at this point, we're ready to start the survey. So let's go ahead and open it up. And this is the landing page that you'll see. Let me change one thing here before we get into this, just to make this a little bit easier. As you can see at the top, you have a number of check boxes, whether or not you're going to complete the survey or not. And then at the end, again, if you have completed it, you can let us know that you have completed it. And that way we can go through the validation process at the end of this, at the end of the survey. So first of all, what you'll see is some key resources available. As Denise mentioned, very specifically, there are some tax forms that you would need as well in addition to this, but there are a number of resources available that you can right-click on and just open it up in a different tab. The first thing that we see here is something that will be new to everyone. This has to do with the level of reporting, and I'll get into this on the next page. But basically, you can choose the level of reporting. and this gives you some background as far as the policies on the survey. From a navigation, you can choose this to help you navigate through the survey. There's a glossary of terms that you can download that would be very helpful in completing this as well. If the terms are not something that you perhaps are familiar with, it would be very helpful. It's also the service user's guide for the benchmarking report. The other thing is that if you look at this downloads link at the top, there's a number of resources available here as well, and that's something that you can avail yourself of as well. So if we are ready to start now, the first thing that you would do is just click on this. This is allowing us to get into section A. You'll see that each of these sections has a letter. The gap here is filled in by fundraising, and I'll get into that later as to how we fill that in. But if we go to section A, the first thing that you're going to see here that will catch your eye is that there are questions that are required, and they're going to be highlighted in yellow. So if you're moving down the page, fill in your contact information, the fiscal year, the information that you see throughout the survey. If you see any of these grayed out boxes, this is information from the previous year that will be brought forward if you did participate. If it's something that, if you don't see anything there, then it's just something that either you did not participate last year or you didn't answer that particular question. But again, you have drop-down menus to choose the month and the year that you're going to be reporting. Your organization type, you can choose single, healthcare entity, or system. At this point, it's the first place where the survey will change slightly. If I chose single healthcare, when we get into the next question on specialty type, you'll see that obviously I have some information here from the previous year on this test demonstration hospital that I'm looking at. You can also choose at this point the entity type. You would not be able to enter information into system only because obviously we chose single healthcare entity. If we chose system, then you'll see that we're not able to report in single entity and only in the system. The next couple of questions are required. Again, this would be U.S.-based organizations, so you have spaces here to input your net operating revenue. If you can't provide a breakdown, if you could provide a total, obviously it would be preferable to report the breakdown, the breakout as well, and also net patient service revenue. If you're a Canadian-based organization, we would be looking for gross operating revenue, which you can place here. And then fundraising structure. If you remember up above, I chose system for the second choice, so we're not able to answer this question because it doesn't apply. But if you're a system, then you would simply choose what type of system you are. The fundraising expense budget, and also the funding relationship. These are required questions, and regardless of the level of detail you choose to participate in, these questions 1 through 10 will all be required. Okay, now we come to the first choice in the report. This gets into the level of reporting. As I mentioned when I was looking at the page that showed you the outline of the survey, we have core reporting and core reporting plus expanded reporting. Now, what this, depending on what you choose, and I'm going to choose core reporting first. If you choose core reporting only, all of the information that you need to provide are going to be in this question 12. So you can report expenses here, and then your fundraising results give us a breakdown of cash and production. And if you didn't participate in, if you did participate in 2015, you'll see these numbers here. If you didn't participate, if you could provide that here, that would be great. And again, just looking at staff, fundraising staff and donors, notice when I hovered over this, you see sort of a thumbnail of what would be included in fundraising, direct fundraising staff, rather. This is throughout the report. We mentioned some of the key resources, but if you get into the report, if you don't happen to have these key resources available, if you hover over any of the areas where something is underlined, you'll see a bubble that will pop up that will help you. You won't see it on the ones that are not underlined. And if you chose core reporting, you're basically done at this point. So what we would do is just save and then return to the previous menu. And you can just go ahead and log out of the survey. You're done. But let's go back in and see if you wanted to report in a little more detail what your options are. Okay, we're back into Section A now. Again, all of these questions that were required, you would have already completed everything through 10. Now let's choose Core Plus Expanded Reporting. Now what this does is it closes off everything for number 12 here, because we're going to be reporting in more detail. So there's no need to go any further down this page, and you would just save and then return to the previous menu. And again, if you're walking down this, you're just going to go from top to bottom. The first choice that you have here is to choose your level of expense reporting. So we click on that, and you'll see a box that will offer you two options, whether you're going to report in detail or in summary only. I'm going to go ahead and choose summary only first. And then you just save and return to the previous menu. You'll see that what appeared here that we didn't see previously is this section B. So we'll go ahead and click on that. Now this is where you can input your fundraising expenses and staffing. If you're familiar with the report on giving, the previous report on giving, these are the same expenses that you would have seen in that survey. And additionally, we have the number of full-time positions as well. And if you can break this down, that would be preferred. If it's not possible based on the information that you have, or if you are not able to provide that for whatever reason, if you can report a total fundraising expense number, that would be appreciated. So let's go back and look at the level of expenses if we choose detail. So again, the other one was summary, very familiar if you're familiar with report on giving. This will open up more sections of the report. You see previously we just had B here, now we see B, C, and D. So you have the same aggregated numbers that you had the option to report in the summary version. But now when you click on these, you're going to see a lot of detail that you can provide. Some of this may or may not be applicable to your organization if you're looking at certain positions. But the most important thing to remember is that the more detail that you provide, the more detail that you'll be able to see when you're looking at the results. So if for some reason something doesn't apply, please don't put a 0, just leave it blank. It'll make it easier for you, and obviously it would make it easier for us if we're looking at data. If it's a 0, then that could obviously skew the numbers. So these are the FT direct fundraising staff. So that's one section. Let's go ahead and save that and go back and get into the indirect human resources area. Very similar flavor to the other, to the direct. Same type of information as far as don't enter a 0, but everything that's, excuse me, everything that's applicable to your organization can be reported here. And then the last section is the non-labor operational expenses. The important thing to remember here, excuse me, is that depending on your organization's relationship, it may be somewhat difficult, or it may be an estimate to come up with some of these numbers when you're looking at rent and occupancy. But again, very important to provide these to give a true picture of your expenses and the numbers that we would be using to calculate return on investment and cost to raise a dollar later with your revenue numbers. Okay, so we've gone through fundraising expenses. So let's get into fundraising performance. Okay, section E, we're looking at gifts received and expected. The first column here, we're looking at number of gifts, and then the second column, the value. If you did report prior year, these numbers will be showing. And as you go down the page, you can see there's more information that can be provided. Pledge collection rate. If there's something that you need to tell us, not about the survey itself, but something that would be helpful based on the answers that you provided in this section. In most sections of the report, you have a comment area. And again, it's reserved for supplemental information that you think would be helpful for us based on the information that you provided to us in this particular section. Okay, if you were familiar with the report on giving, the next couple of areas here would be sections that you probably would not have seen. They wouldn't have been in that survey, but there is a section here for endowment and for different campaigns that you may be involved in. If you did have information from the previous year, obviously showing here in the grayed areas, but depending on your organization, it may not be something that's applicable to you. What we're looking for here is the current market value of the endowment at the end of the reporting year. Much like the other areas, you have an option to report the total, but the preferable method would be to break these out. And then the campaign, you can choose whether you had an active campaign in 2016 or you did not. If you didn't, pretty simple, you're done. If you did, if you can, depending on the number of campaigns that you have, provide the information specific to that campaign. That goes right here. And the next section is constituency giving. I think that for this section, you're basically just looking to report gifts by source in the first area here. And then gifts by position. And the last section here under fundraising performance is major gifts, planned giving, annual funds, special events. If you can provide the information to in this detail for major gifts, breaking it down, we can see how many corporate and foundation gifts, and then everything combined, and then the planned giving. The number of contacts for planned giving in this area. And then if you can just go and provide additional information here, you can break down and see what you did to basically get the revenue that you were able to receive for that year. And again, section on special events here at the end. There's two other measures here. We have section I and section J. It says program emphasis. If you're able to look at each of the areas here, and first of all, determine whether or not you have a program. But assuming that you do, just give the level of emphasis that this has within your organization for each of these. And the last section is use of funds. Excuse me, a little bit of a cough. If you're familiar with the report on giving, again, this is an area that you would have seen in the survey for a number of years. You're just trying to, if you have the visibility to provide the use and distribution of the funds raised by these breakouts, it would be helpful. And two quick things at the end. Interest income is fairly self-explanatory. The endowment income, I just wanted to point out that this is income that the endowment that you reported if you did have it in a previous section. This is the income that that endowment provided for the year that you're reporting, not the total endowment value. That would be in the previous section, section F. So at this point, you're done with the survey. So what you could do here is click on the summary view and just take a look at the information that's provided here based on what you've reported, and use it as a sanity check to see if it all makes sense to you. And then there's a feedback section here, which is different from the comments section per section. That was specific to helping us with the answers that you provided per section, in each section rather. This is just letting us know what you thought of the content and the process and the new platform, and an area that you can go ahead and provide us with any comments or suggestions that you have. And if you wanted to click on this link, you can print out a PDF of your survey as well. And I think that pretty much covers it. Let me go ahead and open it back up here for everyone to be able to talk. Okay. Everyone, if I had this window on my screen minimized, so I haven't seen the comments that have been popping up here, but let me see. Okay, Deborah is asking if I can make her the presenter. Yes. Go ahead and through here. Okay, Deborah, are you still on? I made you the presenter. No? Well, we'll see. I guess she's signing in right now. Did anybody have any questions while we're waiting? It looks like we still have 19 people on, but not everybody is. It looks like we're getting some feedback. Not sure what that is. I'm going to go ahead and mute everybody right now, just to be on the safe side. Okay, I just unmuted everyone again.
It looks like Deborah is on. I'm looking in the. She is logged on, I think now. Oh, no,
So I'll just go ahead.
She's listed, but there's no green on her phone.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I guess. Does anybody have any questions based on the run-through of the survey about the platform itself or the options available?
Did this meet everyone's expectations? Was there anything else you expected to get today on the call? Okay, well, I think we can conclude. If no one has any other questions, be on the lookout for your invitation to participate. And we will be putting out a few other questions to the task force. We have one remaining question on one of the summary review reports, but we are expecting to launch on April 10, and thank you all in advance for your participation. Mike, is there anything else you'd like to add?
I'm sorry. No, Denise, I think I'm good. Thank you.
Great. And Fran, are you still on? Fran Patonic? Fran, we do have several. Oh, hello. We do have several folks on the call who are from our benchmarking task force who will be able to provide some additional resources as you go through this process if you run into any questions about how you report your endowments or things of that nature. So thank you all in advance, and we expect to see all of you participate in the Report on Giving survey this year. Thank you.
Thanks, Denise.
Bye-bye.